Well, Chris Doyle is with me in the studio. He's a Middle East commentator and the director of the Council of Arab-British Understanding. Chris, it's very difficult, isn't it, to hear our colleague Abdul Wahab and what he says, and to absorb and process just how difficult it is. And just a question that he said that people are asking him there, when is the ceasefire? And I put that question to you. When will Israel's war on Gaza end?
We all want it to end as soon as possible. And of course, we now get these delicate talks in Cairo. And, you know, this 20-point proposal, I don't even call it a plan, as presented by Trump, which was a negotiation between Netanyahu's team and Trump's team, is so vague. And that is part of the problem. They're now trying to fill in the gaps, trying to make sense out of it in terms of a timetable, a sequence, and so forth. And in this particular case, this document, the devil was in the lack of detail. And so I'm not sure how quickly that those negotiators can get it across the line, because it's not like this is the first time they've met. They've been negotiating in Doha indirectly with Steve Witkoff. So they know a lot of the lines. So Hamas is coming out with some of the same demands that they had before, like when will there be a full and complete Israeli withdrawal, that they insist on this. They want to ensure that it's a permanent ceasefire guaranteed by the United States. Of course, none of that was in the 20-point plan.
That's an important point. No timelines and no monitoring of if Israel breaks the ceasefire.
No monitoring, no accounting, no sequencing.
Yeah.
What comes one after the other? I mean, take the release of hostages and prisoners. It's meant to be in this agreement, as opposed to the one in January, that the hostages would be released all at the same time, and then Israel would release the 250 prisoners and about 1,700 detainees, including women and children. But it doesn't say how quickly that would follow the release of hostages. It doesn't say if that's in phases or all at the same time. It's so unclear that they would have to, with the best will in the world, go forward to try to address this. My hope is that they will concentrate on the three key factors in the early part of this deal, that is the ceasefire, getting the aid in, and the release of hostages and detainees. And ignore for the moment the latter stages, because that is where you're going to get the trouble. That's where you're going to get into issues over who rules Gaza, under what guise, who's going to be part of a stabilization force, who gets the contracts for rebuilding Gaza, all of that, which I think will be very difficult. Let's get through those really difficult bits, which I think that the region, I think Israelis will be happy to see, certainly Donald Trump would be happy to see. If we can get past those stages, then maybe there'll be some sort of horizon. But obviously, Palestinians in Gaza, including your reporter, and credit to all those reporters on the ground, for you, for other networks, doing this under fire. I mean, over, was it 250 journalists, I think, have been killed?
Correct.
It's extraordinary. They're doing it in extreme danger, at extreme risk, but broadcasting to the world and providing an extraordinary service, really, to all of us, to allow us to get some sort of idea of what is going on.
And Chris, just very quickly, a point that you made earlier is leaders just standing idly by. This year, compared to October 7th last year, now officially a UN report has found that this is a genocide, that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. Why is that not a red line for world leaders to act? Why are these images not a red line?
Of course it should be, and it should have been before, because even if you don't say it's a genocide, there's unquestionably been war crimes and crimes against humanity that have been perpetrated, and that is really clear. I mean, the very fact that Israel was able to say we're not going to allow any food, water, medicine, fuel into Gaza, that alone should have been a red line. So red lines have been crossed so many times in all of this. And the inaction, the lack of any accountability has basically been a green light for Israel to continue or go even further. It's just walked over international law as if it didn't exist. So it is time that these leaders, beyond time, that they actually start saying enough is enough and there's going to be consequences. And I'm afraid that Israelis need to feel that. They need to realize that their snug life in Tel Aviv, where they've enjoyed all the benefits of traveling all over the world and all the rest of it, may be coming to an end because their state, their government, is carrying out war crimes, crimes against humanity, and a genocide, apartheid in the West Bank in their name. And it's unconscionable that this is allowed to continue.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you very much for now. Chris Doyle, thank you.